I don't know who needs to hear this, but you can't beat the hurt out of people. You can't force somebody to no longer deal with depression and anxiety. I don't care how strong you think someone is. You still need to check on your people. Because people going through stuff. People really hurt out here. People suffering in silence. A lot of times we look at people like, yo, man, you strong, you all right, man, you okay, I don't need to check on you. They're going to be all right no matter what they're dealing with, no matter what they're experiencing. You assume that they're okay because you say they're strong. What you don't understand is the strongest person have moments of weakness. The strongest people out here need someone to check on them to see if they're okay. The strongest people have issues and deal with anxiety, stress, depression. A lot of times you still got people saying, yo, you strong, you overcame all these generational curses, so I know you're going to be okay. But what you don't realize is, look at all the weight of those generational curses. You know how heavy they are. You know how heavy those burdens are. You know how difficult it is to overcome those generational curses. You know how you know? Because some of you have not overcame them. Some of you have became victims to these generational curses. So when you see someone who overcame generational curses, you need to check on that person. You need to check on them. Not assume that they're strong because they overcame it. They don't need your assistance. They don't need a shoulder to cry on. They don't need someone, a sounding board. They don't need someone just to listen and hear about their issues. Stop assuming that because they carry all this weight every single day, that they're strong enough to continue on their journey without breaking down. Because I'm telling you, people, there's people out here right now who you assume strong, who are suffering in silence. You think that beating on a person is going to take away the pain out of a person, but see, you don't understand what that means. See, every day we deal with somebody, whether it's at work, home life, we deal with somebody who's ignorant, they're nasty. We experience it. People who talk nasty to you, treat you nasty, whether it's your manager, your co-workers. It's that cashier at McDonald's. Whether it's just somebody passing by or someone that lives in your own house, we deal with people who are nasty. And what we figure is, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. If you're rude to me, I'm going to be rude to you. But we don't understand is, you trying to beat the hurt out of somebody because we don't look at these people, we don't say to ourselves, like, yo, why is this person acting like they are? Why is this person talking and treating people like this? Why is this person always speaking negativity, always speaking down on someone, always got something nasty to say, always mistreating someone, always think they're bigger than everybody else and trying to make themselves seem bigger? Give them just a little bit of power and they think they're the president of the United States, the leader of the whole free world at that point. What you don't understand is, what you don't see is the pain that that person's hiding. And when you come back and you beating on that person, what you're really doing is saying, yo, if I punch you hard enough, that whatever hurt that you're experiencing, whatever hurt that you're enduring, that I'm going to beat the hurt out of you. You ever say, when you see somebody, they got attitude, they rude, like, yo, hit them with a kind word. You don't know what they're experiencing. Some of you looking at me like, no, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that. You know why you're not doing that? Because you're dealing with your own set of hurt right now, your own set of pain. Because you need to go sit down and talk to a therapist. But see, we need to normalize that. We talk about normalizing everything else. We talk about normalizing everything else, but we don't normalize this, the ability to sit down and talk to a therapist. Talk to someone about the pain we're feeling. We got people, like I said, like I started this, you got people who are dealing with generational curses. Dealing with the experience of trying to fight back against these generational curses. You know what these generational curses is, whether it's drug addiction, alcoholism. We're dealing with spousal abuse. We're dealing with separation, depression, anxiety, poverty. All these things are generational curses that we experience and is passed down. We pass down these things to our children. And we suffer in silence because we just bury it deep inside of us and we make it seem like it's normal. But what's not normal is sitting on a couch, sitting across from a perfect stranger, a licensed therapist, a psychiatrist, and talking to them about what we're feeling, the pain we're feeling. Why, when I go to work, I gotta feel like I'm the president of the United States or the leader of the free world because I got a little bit of power? Why I gotta treat people so rudely when they come through my drive-through line? Why I gotta treat people so rudely in my house? Why I gotta treat perfect strangers who did nothing to me so horrible? Why do I have to beat the pain out of people? Why do I gotta feel like I gotta beat the pain out of people? It's because we need to sit down and talk, but it's not normal to go sit with therapists. Why is it not normal, people? It's because we make it feel unnormal. We make it feel like something's wrong if you go talk to a therapist. We make people feel like it's something wrong if you're dealing with anxiety, if you're dealing with depression. We make you feel like, yo, you're weak if you're dealing with these things. You want to go talk to a therapist? Why you want to go talk to them? All they're going to do is drug you. Not always the case. Sometimes they might just give you information, give you a point of view, a perspective that you didn't originally see. Maybe they'll make you aware of some things that you were overthinking. Maybe that depression and anxiety started messing with your imagination and creating demons and animals and all kinds of attacks that don't truly exist. So we start creating these monsters that don't truly exist, start looking at people all sideways, thinking the world's against us when reality is the people who we think against us are rooting for us. The truth is, when we sit down, you talk to somebody, you may be able to walk through some things. Some of us hold past indiscretions that happen to us, past experiences that happen to us as children. I don't know how many people are dealing with being abused as a child, and they don't want to speak about it because they're too embarrassed about it. I don't know how many people right now are dealing with spousal abuse, domestic violence, where they're getting beaten in their house, where they're hiding the wounds. And I'm not just talking about the physical wounds, because see, those physical wounds heal. I'm also talking about the mental wounds, the ones that nobody see and that they hide. They hide better than any sweater, any turtleneck can hide their physical wounds. They walking around hiding those wounds right now, not knowing how to get out of those situations. There's people right now hiding the fact that they broke, that they can't afford their rent, that they can't afford to feed themselves. There's people who's hiding right now anxiety because they're working at a job that makes them feel so stressed out that just the idea of going back to work just completely freaks them out. And they don't know what the hell to do. And you can't talk to anybody because when you feel like you talk to somebody, when you open yourself up about these things, these emotions that you're feeling, people make you feel bad about it. People make you feel like you're weak. People make you feel like you're soft. Yo, why are you dealing with depression? People talk about generational curses and they talk like, yo, well, your ancestors deal with this and they crossed the boat and they did this and they did that and they ate chitlins and they lived in a shack, so you should be okay with it. Well, the fact that you can't pay your rent, you should be okay because you got a cell phone and you got this and that. So whatever you're going through, you should be okay with it because you didn't experience all that your ancestors experienced. And according to them, without any previous knowledge or information to support this claim, they didn't experience any anxiety. They didn't experience any depression. According to them, your ancestors who lived in a shack, who lived paycheck to paycheck, who couldn't afford and was just scraping to get by, they didn't experience any anxiety. They didn't experience any depression. They didn't go see a therapist. But I ask you this question. How the hell do you know? Did they tell you? Then ask yourself a better question. Riddle me this. Here's a better question for you. Should they have went and seen one? And if they should, why didn't they? Well, a lot of us say they didn't go see him because we didn't know. You know, our parents didn't tell us we should go see a therapist or, you know, or a psychiatrist to deal with issues. But some things are also common sense, people. Some things are common sense because, see, if I'm sick, I know to go see a doctor. If my car is broken, I call a mechanic. But see, sometimes when our mind is broken, see, that right there is the one thing we ignore. We ignore and leave broken. How many of our ancestors done the same thing? We talk about all the experiences they went through. We talk about the Underground Railroad for the African American community. We talk about the Holocaust for the Jewish community. We talk about how people from Japan who lived in America was forced into concentration camps. We talk about all the atrocities that Cubans went through while living under Castro. What we don't talk about is how people overcame these experiences, these life-changing experiences. See, people say over time that you're supposed to heal from things, but see, sometimes time doesn't heal these wounds. And these wounds not only carry on through our lives, but then we pass them on to our children's lives. So then that anxiety, that stress, that depression just gets passed on and on and on from generation to generation, never being cured or healed until one person comes along and decides, yo, I'm putting an end to poverty. I'm putting an end to depression. I'm putting an end to anxiety. I'm putting an end to stress. But see, the first step is that, the first step to dealing with your mental, to dealing with the things that hurt you mentally, is to seeking help, to speaking up, to asking for help, to talking about what you're experiencing. But see, there's a dilemma with that. There's a fear that comes with it. What happens when you speak to people? What type of reaction are you going to get? They're going to be understanding? Are they going to beat you down? Make you feel weak? And see, that causes a whole nother level of anxiety. And that pushes you deeper into depression. So how do you handle that feeling when you feel like I want to talk and I want to just let all this out from my past? I want to finally overcome this stuff. But see, if I do, you're going to look at me and say I'm weak. You ain't going to look at me and say, you're not going to look at me as this superhero, this strong person. Listen, man, I thought like Vicky was so tough. But look at her, man. She couldn't even handle that little stress, man. She can't handle when people at her jobs getting on her nerves. She can't handle it. I thought Tommy was so strong, such a man, but look at him. He crying like a little girl just because he lost his job or because he a little depressed. He don't toughen up. Suck that up. So that forces you to bury that pain deeper inside you. Deeper inside you. And you know, you ever shake a Coca-Cola, Pepsi bottle? You ever shake it? Then you open the top, what happens? It explodes out. And you wonder why you're going to work every day and you shaking up and you sitting here being so mean. You understand why now that beating on a person that's hurt is not going to help them heal? Do you understand why I started this podcast off like I started now? Because the fact of the matter is, you beating on somebody's hurt is not going to beat the pain out of them. A lot of y'all right now beating on your children because they dealing with anxiety, they dealing with depression. You asking yourself right now, they ain't got no bills. They ain't got to worry about paying the rent. They ain't got to put food on the table. All you got to do is go to school. And you don't understand that even that can cause anxiety. The idea of going to school, the idea of perfection, the idea of learning something that's difficult to learn. It causes anxiety. It causes depression. And not only that, your children deal with a whole different level of bullying. See, when we used to get bullied in school, the bullying started at school, ended at school. Now, when a kid goes online to their phones and tablets and social media, the bullying carries right over onto that. They can't outrun the bully. The bully don't stay on the playground no more. It follows them. So they're dealing with anxiety, depression, and the fact of the matter is they can't talk to you. They can't talk to you when you sitting there and you taking out your frustration, your anxiety, depression out on your children because you stressed out at work. You stressed out at work. You stressed out about your bills. You stressed out about things going on in your life. So you take it out on your children. But your children are not allowed to speak back because what you say, a child is supposed to be seen, not heard. They ain't supposed to be able to talk back. They're not supposed to have those conversations. They definitely ain't supposed to dive into grown-up conversations. Now, granted, I do agree with that. You shouldn't dive into grown-up conversations. However, you should be able to have a conversation with adults about how they are making you feel. But we don't allow our children that opportunity. We don't allow our children to tell us how they feel. Because when they tell us how they feel, immediately what we say is, oh, you're being disrespectful for telling me that me yelling at you, me smacking you, me calling you dumb, makes you feel some type of way. So you telling us that you're telling me that I made you feel some type of way is a level of disrespect. And we wonder why the suicide rate is so high with our children when they feel so isolated that they can't speak. And why? Because so many of us deal with the same depression. We deal with the same anxiety. Our children are forced to suffer in silence, just like we're forced to suffer in silence. Some of us are hurt right now, and I'm going back to generational curses. I'm going to stay with the generational curses. I'm dealing with mental health because this is a big factor in our mental health, is these generational curses. A lot of times we're fighting back, like I said, poverty, man, depression, anxiety, stress. We're dealing with these generational curses. We're dealing with generational curses of thinking that abuse, domestic violence is normal because you tell your children, you tell your daughters that when a boy hits on them, that that's their way of saying they like you. So a woman grows up thinking that when a man is beating on her, that's his way of saying I love you. We give this kind of confusion to our children. We raise up this type of confusion to our children and wonder why they stay in a domestic abusive relationship. And they're afraid to tell you that even though you told them that's a way of saying love you, they sit there like, yo, man, I know you said that, but I don't agree with mom, dad. I don't feel it. Because when he beating on me, when he yelling on me, when he's telling me I'm too fat, when he's telling me I'm a loser, or she's telling me that, that's not a good feeling. I don't feel love. I feel hurt. But if they come to you and talk to you about it, are you truly going to listen to them? If a person is going through that and they're not so quick to leave because it's hard to leave those situations, what you going to do? Are you going to shun them? Are you going to shut the door and cut off all support to them? Bigger question. Bigger question. We also have these people in the family, where you think they're rich, they're doing well for themselves. They're doing good, they got the newest car, newest TV, nice house, everything. And we assume that that person can't go through anything, especially financially. I mean, you can't go through financial ruin because you put them on such a pedestal that they can't. We look at them people, and when they're going through it, they normally have to suffer in silence because, see, if they tell you, yo, man, listen, I know I was doing good, but this year, this quarter, just wasn't that good. My sales are down, the job is doing cutbacks, I didn't get the raise I got, I'm starting to drown. Immediately what we first say is, well, you the one living above your means. How you know I'm living above my means? I tell you what I'm making. That's the first thing you're going to come at with them. Like, yo, you live above your means. I told you don't buy that new Mercedes. I told you don't buy that new BMW. Like, that's what you'll handle with. Then you got the people who, are strong. Like I said, generational curses. They're fighting to push them back. They're fighting against these generational curses. They're fighting back against the poverty, fighting against domestic violence, fighting back against depression, fighting back against anxiety. They fighting all these generational curses. They are the ones who are on the front line saying, yo, my children are going to be different because I'm not going to give my children experiences that I had. And then something happens in their life. A storm comes. A storm starts blowing up in their life, and they don't think they can handle it. They looking at this storm, they saying to themselves, I don't know if I'll make it out of this one, God. I don't know if I'll make it out of this one, Lord. Their mind starts to break down on them. They're on this road in a hurricane or tornadoes in the horizon, and their car dies on them, and they saying to themselves, I don't think I'll make it out of this one, God. I think this is it. I think this is the time where I'm going to end up homeless. I'm going to end up not being able to pay my bills. I'm going to sit here in the lights. I got to look my children in the face and say, yo, you got to go back to school with the same old clothes, the same old sneakers. I'm sorry, but I just can't do it. I got to choose whether to send you back to school with new clothes and sneakers or put a roof over your head. And these people go through this. And they're going through this pain. They're going through this struggle. And you hear it. And what you say to that person is, yo, you're going to be all right. You strong. You're going to push through this. I know you're going to push through it. That's your only word. You don't check on this person. You don't come ask this person, yo, can I help you? Can I give you a ride? Can I give you a lift? Can I lift you up with nothing more but some kind words and some encouragement that you know what? Not just you're going to be all right, but to stand on faith. Can I share with you some of my testimonies of what I've been through in life and how God came through at the moment when I thought everything was going to fade and everything was going down and help you up. If nothing more, can I just listen to you? Complain, cry, and discuss what you're going through because it'll give you a few moments of clarity. It'll make you feel lifted up because at least you got out. Even if you need to stand there and just scream in my face for 5 minutes, can I give you that? But you won't give them that, will you? What you hit them with is, yo, you're going to be all right. You're strong. Look at all the stuff you overcame. You're going to be all right. And you leave it there. You don't come out check on them. You don't go check on them. You don't call them, see what they're all right. You don't offer them anything. In fact, you start asking them for more. Like, yo, I know you're going through something, but yeah, I need, $20 so I need gas. You're just piling on thinking because someone's strong that they can't have a breakdown. Strongest people in the world have mental breakdowns. Strongest people in the world have weaknesses. You go and we put people on pedestals and we assume that it's because a person is strong, that there's no moment of weakness. A camel can walk through a desert with 2 humps. Those 2 humps are to carry water. They're conditioned to adapt to their environment. Not only can a camel carry those 2 humps filled with water, they can carry a human body traveling across the desert for long trips. A camel can also carry that human's luggage. It's a strong camel. Very strong camel. When you consider on average, the average human weighs what, between 150 to 200 pounds. Luggage can add on another 60, 70 pounds. Then you got to take into account the water that these camels carry. But how is it that one straw can break the camel's back? Think about it. This same camel carried a human person, their luggage, and 2 humps full of water across the desert to their location. But it only took one straw to break the camel's back. Think about that, people. Let that marinate for a second. As you think about people who are struggling with mental health and all these issues, that you think that these people are so strong that they don't need your help, they don't need your voice, they don't need you to listen to them. You think about that camel, how one straw broke that camel's back, and you think about how easy it is to break down people in your life. Think about how many people right now are suffering in silence, sitting right in front of you. How many people at work right now are hurt? How many people you walk through and drive through, and you probably saying to yourself, well, that person in drive through is not my problem. They shouldn't take their problems to work. They shouldn't bring their problems to work. They should leave them at home. Very true. You should leave your problems at home. But some problems are too heavy that you can leave home. Some of us don't know how to leave our problems. Some of us don't know how to practice smiling because we wasn't taught to. So some of us carry those burdens because we don't know how. Some of those burdens are too heavy and we don't know how to put them down. Some of us don't know how to call somebody and talk to so we can relieve our burdens. And I don't mean relieve our burdens like, look, let me take this backpack off my back and put it on yours. I mean, learn how to take that pack and start taking things out of it. Stripping it out and throwing away those things because, see, you're walking around carrying 20 pounds of bricks in your book bag, but I'm asking you, talking to a licensed therapist, psychiatrist, or even a person that you trust, to see and ask you one simple question. What do you need those bricks you're carrying around in your backpack for? One simple question. What do you need them for? Then you start thinking, I guess, I was going to build a wall, to keep people out. But what do you need to build a wall for? People hurt me before, I just don't want to get hurt no more. Okay, let's talk about it. You start going and diving into people hurting. You start diving into not allowing people to hurt. You start being more careful about who you let in your circle. Be careful about what you're sharing, who you let in your house. But it's a different subject, people. You start being careful. And as you start to realize, you start unfolding all these things in your life, you start taking brick by brick out of your book bag. And as you realize, your loads start getting lighter. You start feeling lighter. And when you walk out that house, that book bag, it wasn't as heavy as when you walked in. When you went and sat on that couch, that book bag wasn't as heavy. You know why? Because you did something that your ancestors didn't do. You did something that your family didn't do. You did something that your community didn't make seem as normal. You relieved yourself by going to talk to somebody, thinking through, working through the issues that you're having, opening yourself up to receive information, not walking in with a full cup looking to pour more into it, but rather an empty cup looking to be filled with information, knowledge, wisdom, so it can help you through the struggle that you're going through. Let me tell you something about storms, people. Storms are like people. They're temporary. They're temporary. So I know that you're driving towards a storm. Some of you are in a hurricane. Some of you feel like you're in the middle of a tornado. But let me tell you something I learned about storms in my 39 years on this earth. Storms are temporary and only last a short amount of time. I have yet to see a storm that lasts more than a week or a few days or even a few hours. I mean, even the blizzards that come only, last a day or two? And of course, it leaves snow behind, but eventually that snow starts to melt. A tornado only lasts, a few minutes? A hurricane, as it's traveling, may last a few days, but it only stays in one place for what? Few hours to a day, then it travels on. A storm is temporary, just like people. Don't let a storm cause permanent damage in your life, because see, a storm has two purposes. Two purposes, people. It's either to strengthen you or define you. Which one you going to do? And if it's going to strengthen you, then you can use it to define you as a stronger freaking person who don't fall victim. You're going to clean up the ravage from that storm, and when you walk out that storm, what you're going to say to yourself, what you're going to realize yourself is, if I survive that tornado, if I survive that hurricane, and I'm still alive on this earth, then I can survive any storm, anything, or that anybody throw at me. What you're going to learn about temporary people is that you're going to have people come in your life that are hurt, that are willing to relieve their burdens, their bricks onto you. You're going to have people that's going to look down on you. There's going to have people that put you on a pedestal with the sole purpose to shoot you off of it. You're going to have people that come in your life that's going to try to put you in positions that compromise your freedom, your future, your joy, and your happiness. But what you have to understand is that these temporary people should not have a permanent place in your mind, and shouldn't certainly not have a permanent effect on your life. Don't feel guilty, feel bad about going to talk to someone. Don't think you're weak because you're going to talk to someone. I told you about that camel. One straw broke the camel's back. Does that make the camel weak? No. That means that the camel had a capacity of weight that it was willing to carry. And that if it didn't relieve some of that weight, then yeah, that one straw broke his back. However, let's say that same camel said, okay, you know what, you're putting a little too much on me. You got to take a little bit off. And that camel relieved some of that pressure off his back. When you add that one more straw, would it broke the camel's back? Oh, I'm talking riddles. Y'all ain't getting it yet. Y'all ain't catching that. You'll get it later. You'll get it. Just think about it. Let it marinate, people. You got to relieve yourself. I know your ancestors been through hell and back. Like I said, you black people, our ancestors been through slavery. They've been through slavery. They lived through Jim Crow law. They fought through segregation. They fought through water hoses. They marched down Selma. They did all kinds of things. A million-man march. They went through hell and back for us to be where we are. They went through hell and back. But believe me, if they had the opportunity to have a licensed therapist, a psychiatrist, to sit and talk to them about the experiences that they went through, I'm sure they would have took advantage of it, because the last thing they wanted to do was pass down a family or generational curse of depression, anxiety, stress, or poverty to you. They wanted to pass down to you wealth, happiness, joy, and freedom. That's why they fought and stood for the things they did for you. For the Jewish people out here, you have members of your family who went through a Holocaust, were forced into concentration camps, killed, stripped of their belongings due to racism and hatred, bigotry. They wish that they had someone to talk to work through the depression, the anxiety, the stress that they felt, that they went through, to help them become a better form of themselves, so they can give, to pass down, inherit something better for you. So take advantage of the opportunities that was not given to them, the changes that were not given to them. Do not let their sacrifices become in vain. For the Japanese people, you went through being forced into a concentration camp, stripped of your land. In America, your family wished they had someone to talk to. Help them through that. Help them heal. To the Indian people, Native Americans, you were stripped of your land. Your ground that you owned and possessed, only to be stolen and to be claimed to be newfounded. You need to get some. Your family members, your ancestors, would love for you to get the assistance you need to overcome those family curses. You right now who's watching the show, I don't know who you are. I don't know where you're sitting. I don't know where you're from. I don't know what you're going through. But right now, you're going through some kind of pain. You're going through some kind of stress. You're suffering alone right now in your home. You standing around people. You at a party right now in a room full of people. You at a concert right now surrounded by people. But inside, you're dying. You're at a job right now stressed out and hated. But let me tell you something. The truest strength is letting something go. You're not weak because you walk away from that job. You're not a quitter because you walk away from that relationship. The truest strength is letting go of things that cause anxiety, depression, and stress in your life. Because let me tell you something. What it's not worth is your life. It's not worth you having a heart attack over. That paycheck is not worth it. That relationship is not worth the physical. Walk away, people. You don't have to suffer anymore. You don't have to suffer alone. You can regain, recapture your life. If you need help, if you're dealing with depression, anxiety, thoughts of suicide, I'm going to leave a number that you can call in the comment section. I'm sorry. Call it. Don't suffer alone. Don't feel like you're weak because no one wants to listen to you and because people tell you that you're strong. You don't have to fight through all this alone. If you're dealing with domestic abuse, and I mean by domestic abuse, I'm not just talking about physical or mental abuse. There's help out there for you. There's help. If you're dealing with financial struggle, poverty, there's help out for you. If you're dealing with the stress, the anxiety, depression of your ancestors or people that came before you, there's help out here for you. Don't struggle. Don't stay at a job. Don't stay in a situation. It's causing you pain, hurt. Walk away. I want to thank you for joining me for another episode of Past and Present Podcast. I am back. I'm back, and new episodes will be back released every Sunday. I want to thank you for joining me. Until next time, I will have one thing to say to you, or maybe a few. Stay woke. Stay focused. Most importantly, stay tuned. Peace.